In The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, there is a type of character called a dwarf. A dwarf is a race of people in the story who happen to be short in stature, hence the name, and they tend to be stubborn, grumpy. Well, maybe not in The Hobbit. They're a little more fun in The Hobbit, but and they're fighters. They're warriors. They're not afraid of a good fight. And so I was reading The Hobbit once in the middle of seminary. I had never read it before, and I was reading it while I was in the middle of a silent retreat. So nothing like a weird, awkward experience of like 60 men in a hotel lounging around like the fireplace, not talking to each other, all reading books, all enjoying silent time, never even making eye contact, walking through the hallway, just enjoying the silence and the prayer with the Lord. So I was on silent retreat reading The Hobbit, and there's a chapter where the dwarves are introduced to this rather intense character named Beorn. And they're introduced two by two because they're afraid of making him mad because he's a grumpy guy. And at one point he asks a question about how they get there. There's like 14 of them or 12 of them. And at one point he asks how they got there. And Gandalf says, well, we came with a troop of ponies. And his response was, a troop of ponies? Are you a circus or something? Now I'm on a silent retreat, and that line was hilarious to me. I lost it, like in the middle of like all these guys in silence around the fire, and I couldn't stop laughing. I was like crying. It was so funny. I went to my room, I calmed down, I came back, I kept laughing. It was such a ridiculous image to me of these big, tough guys who love a battle riding little tiny ponies. I was imagining like ribbons in the pony's hair or something. Like, it was just a ridiculous, contrasting image. And Tolkien knew what he was doing. He knew that that was a funny image. And I think that there's something of that with Jesus riding into Jerusalem on a donkey. Of all things, right? We've all seen donkeys. It's not even like a grown-up donkey. It's a colt. It's a young donkey, probably not very well trained yet. And that's what Jesus chooses to ride into Jerusalem on. And I know there's a fulfillment of some prophecies, yes. But it's interesting because it creates this weird contrast of what the people are expecting and they're waiting for. They know that they're wanting a king, and the things that they start singing, Hosanna, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord, the kingdom of our father David is to come. So they know that Jesus is a king. They're honoring him as a king. I mean, the palm branches that we hold, this comes from Maccabees, 1st and 2nd Maccabees, maybe, I don't know, what is that, 100 roughly years before Jesus, when the Jews took back the Holy Land, and they celebrated those victories with palm branches. So for them, in a way, this became like this nationalistic symbol of their kingdom and conquering the kingdoms around them. And the people at Jesus' time were pretty restless under the thumb of Rome. And there was a hope that the Messiah would come and free them from Rome. And so, yes, these palm branches are a bit of a reminder of that. Yeah, here's our king. He's come to free us from the clutches of Rome. The things that they sing, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. That's Psalm 118. It's a psalm praising God for delivering his people. It's clear that the people have this expectation that he's going to deliver them in some political, worldly way. And then Jesus, instead of coming and riding on a stallion or a war horse like most kings like to do, he rides a cute little pony into town, a little tiny donkey. And it shows that he's going to be a king in a way that no one was ready for. He's going to be humble in a way that the kings of the world, the presidents of the world, the dictators of the world, they're not humble. Jesus is going to come in a different way. He's not coming to free his people from the clutches of a political power. He comes to free them from the devil. He comes to conquer that enemy, not the enemies that we might experience in a worldly way. And the way he goes about it is surprising. We just read the account of our king, his victorious death. Man, it's hard to listen to the story of his death, his passion. We watched him be betrayed. We watched him be mocked. We watched him be tortured and crucified, which is a very slow and painful way of dying. And he even gets to the point, as we heard at the end of that narrative right before he dies. His last words, my God, why have you forsaken me? Yes, he's quoting a psalm for us there, which is important that we go read that psalm, Psalm 22. But he's even entering into the experience that sometimes we can have in our own suffering that feels like God has abandoned me. So we have a God who is an incredible king. He's willing to meet us where we are. He's going to meet us in the mess of our own lives. He's going to enter into all of our pain, all of our sadness, the times that we felt betrayed, the times that we felt abandoned, that we felt all alone. He wants to meet us there. There is a victory to come, but boy, it comes through the cross. And we're invited to walk with him in these coming days. I love Holy Week because the church kind of slows down and does everything in real time these days. Jesus entered Jerusalem on Sunday, and by Friday, at 3 o'clock, he's dying on the cross. So we follow along all of that in real time. And it's going to be hard to do. If we're really going to follow the Lord into his passion, it requires perseverance. Peter thought that he had what it takes. He said that in that passion. He said that, even if we were to meet death, he would never betray Jesus. And Jesus knows he will. He's weak. And yet we try. The Lord in the garden, he invited his disciples to stay with him and pray. And that's what his invitation is for us during Holy Week. Stay with him and pray. You don't have to do it perfectly. You don't have to be at everything maybe, but do what you can to actually stay with the Lord, walk with the Lord. Maybe read the readings every day if you can't come to Mass every day this week. If you can't come to Holy Thursday and Good Friday, spend some time reflecting on what happened on Holy Thursday at the Last Supper. Spend some time on Good Friday at 3 o'clock in particular, reflecting on Jesus' death on the cross for us. Spend some time walking with him. It takes strength. And not everyone has the strength to walk through it. We had that moment of the naked guy. I like talking about the naked guy. It only comes up every 3 years. Because the Gospel of Mark is the only gospel that mentions it. We're told there as they come to arrest Jesus in the garden that there was one young man wearing only a linen cloth, and he started to run away, and they tried to catch him, and all they got was the linen cloth, so he ran off naked. It's a weird detail in the middle of this gospel. There's theories, there's just theories. Theologians think that maybe that's Mark himself who was writing this gospel, that he was there as a bystander. Some think that there might even be a symbolic meaning here, that the linen cloth would be a symbol of our own baptism. And so it's a symbol for all of us who, want to follow the Lord. We wear that cloth, we try to go be near the Lord where he is. That's what this young man was doing. He was trying to go be with Jesus in the garden at the time of his arrest, but he lost his courage and he ran away. Sometimes we lose our courage to live out our Christian faith and we run away, leaving behind that linen garment, leaving behind our Christian identity. So the Lord's calling us to courage, even if we're going to be weak. He calls us to try, to walk with him, to pray with him, to stay with him this week. So today, we ask Jesus for the joy of welcoming Jesus as King into our lives and for the humility of walking with him to the cross.